North Country Ballroom, Part 4. By local Lions Club standards, the fundraiser proved to be a huge success, collecting almost $650 in ticket sales, 129 dinners at $5 apiece, plus the 1,064 that was made by the silent auction. It turned out that the oil painting donated by Bowser Guttormson was clearly not a Picasso, since one of the Spellman's twins recognized it as a paint-by-number that he himself had done in junior high and which his mom had gotten rid of at a rummage sale. Nonetheless, it went for $20 to Anna Arneson, who was always more than a little crazy about cats. Donnie's sweater vest went for $8 and was bought by Buster Tabell, who figured he had better bid on something and figured that the sweater would look pretty nice on his dog, Tippy. Putsy Hillman attempted to give Buster a hard time about the sweater vest, saying that such an item of clothing might be better suited to Paris Hilton's poodle, insinuating that Tippy would appear, in more ways than one, a little bit of a puff in the Angora. But Buster said that, unlike some people he could mention, Tippy suffered from no overt symptoms of male insecurity, and being nobody's dog but his own, quite likely couldn't give a rat's ass what color or of what fiber content that sweater vest was. With Buster having struck a particularly raw nerve, Putsy reddened a bit and quickly dropped his role in the verbal jousting. Elmer's bowling ball was purchased by Bowser Guttormson for a mere $1. Donnie, who didn't care too much for Bowser, commented to his brother that only Bowser would be so shameless as to bid so little, and that being an antique, or more precisely, junk dealer, he'd probably make up some cock and bull story about the ball having once been owned by Millard Fillmore or Liz Taylor and then sell it to some unsuspecting fool from the city for 10 times what he paid. Elmer just shrugged and said, more power to him. Putsy put in the winning bid, such as it was on the marriage counseling sessions with Reverend Bill. Though he hardly cared to share information with the public, Putsy was having a few male performance issues as of late, and his wife Dottie, who was about as patient as the day was long, was beginning to complain about the lack of lead in his pencil, if you get my drift. After trying numerous home remedies such as oysters, sesame breadsticks, and enough carrots to make his skin quite orange, Putsy began to think that his problem might be better addressed through counseling. He viewed procuring the sessions with Bill as an opportunity to do so on the cheap. The biggest item of the evening's auction proved to be Buster's pugilist squirrels. While nearly everyone was amused by them, the crowd's attention never truly got focused on the bidding board until 2 wealthy lake cabin owners from the Twin Cities started bidding each against one another on the item. One of the bidders was said to be from Edina, and the other from St. Paul. Neither of them looked remotely local, since they were both dressed immaculately in Eddie Bauer for Mr. Edina, and L.L. Bean for Mr. St. Paul. Edina, who looked remarkably like Dick Cheney, had driven up in a new silver Land Rover with a roof rack loaded with enough camping equipment to mount a polar expedition. St. Paul, tall and robust and in his mid-40s, drove a more serious-looking black BMW SUV with a seasonally incongruous ski rack on the top. He was accompanied by a highly ornamented, abnormally thin, unnaturally tan, and positively angry-looking woman, presumably his wife. Why this trio of Twin Cities elites decided to attend a $5 a plate spaghetti dinner was anyone's guess, but it was clear that once there, like so many of their ilk, they reveled in an opportunity to flaunt their class superiority and demonstrate just how big their egos and wallets were. Just to be nice, Margie had started the bid at $10 on the squirrels, thinking that if she got stuck with them, she could always give them the jumper for Christmas, with the understanding that he'd have to keep them in the hunting shack. Mr. Edina clearly wanted to make a big splash in what he viewed as a sad little pond, so he casually wrote down $50 for his bid. Meanwhile, St. Paul had disdainfully checked over the assorted offerings at the auction table. Immediately after the much older Edina had confidently posted what he probably assumed would be the winning bid, Paul made his way over to the bidding board. Drawn by the flawless L.L. Bean, drawing his flawless LL Bean knife out from the monogrammed leather sheath on his belt, he made a quick show of sharpening the oversized auction board pencil and then wrote his entry ticket number followed by $150, underlined twice, next to the digital photo of the squirrel tableau on the bidding board. Edina, red-faced, clearly perturbed, and obviously determined to be the alpha dog in the room, impulsively decided to resort to a little economic shock and awe, boldly grabbing the pencil right out of St. Paul's hand and angrily writing his own entry ticket number followed by $1,000, underlined by 3 thick black lines. He gave a little snort as he looked at St. Paul as if to say, "Go ahead, buddy, bring it on." For a moment, St. Paul looked as if he was going to counter with yet another offer of his own, but observing the "don't you dare" look of the woman with whom he'd entered, suddenly reached into his jacket pocket and pretending to be summoned by his iPhone, raced towards the door, tail between his legs, ostensibly in search of privacy or better reception. Observing this, Edina gave out a perfect little Dick Cheney chuckle as he strode across the room, his immaculate leather hiking boots looking particularly out of place against the worn maple floor. Observing this entire exchange from the opposite side of the room, Dwayne turned to Jumper and with his trademark deadpan delivery cryptically commented, "When a man's got an undersized bar on his chainsaw, he sometimes tries to compensate by running her wide open most of the time. You get 2 guys with undersized bars working in close proximity, you got real trouble." You know what I'm saying? Jumper, never having owned a chainsaw, failed to grasp the true metaphorical significance of Dwayne's remark, but nonetheless nodded in agreement. After the dinner, the winning auction bid numbers were read off, and naturally, Edina was summoned to pay the Lions Club treasurer and then to claim his prize. Emil, the treasurer, was notably impressed when Edina pulled 10 crisp $100 bills from his stash of at least twice their number in his expensive-looking wallet. He coolly laid them down on the cashier's table as if paying $500 apiece for stuffed squirrels was something he did every day. Not even waiting for the tax-deductible donation receipt that Emil was slowly writing out, Edina charged over to the display table, snatched up his hard-won boxing squirrels, and headed for the door. Elmer, just coming in from a cigarette break outside, held the door for Edina as he approached with his animal art trophy. But just as Edina got clear of the door when he was about to turn toward his Land Rover, he froze in his tracks as an ominous, deep-throated growl was heard. Standing between Edina and the Land Rover was Buster's dog, Tippy, staring up at the squirrels and salivating profusely. Under the bluish light of the nearby street light, Tippy looked both deranged and totally focused. Edina tried to quietly and calmly resume movement toward his vehicle while nervously muttering, "Good boy. Now there's a good boy now." But Tippy merely planted his feet and leaned forward, growling even more intensely. Focusing on the squirrels, or was it on Edina's throat, he bared his teeth, inching forward in slow motion. Edina looked around for help, but none came to his aid. Sensing that his prey was about to bolt, Tippy suddenly lunged forward as Edina dropped the boxing squirrels to the ground, running in a wide semicircle past Tippy toward the safety of his Land Rover. Within seconds, Tippy had ripped the heads off both of the squirrels and was violently shaking the body of Dale in the black trunks, as if to ensure that smug little Dale, with his prissy red boxing gloves, upright stance, and arrogant little squirrel sneer, would never ever taunt him again. Thanks for listening.